Welcome back to BVarsity Live, everybody. It's time for Week 11 predictions, the last week of the regular season.
Let's do it.
And again, starting at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning in Porterville.
Yep.
You've got the seating meeting. I'll be there. I'm going to try to fire tweets out as soon as things are official.
Well, and we got a really weird wrinkle in this year, which I like it as a veteran. I like it, but it's a weird wrinkle because any current high school district team that will host a first round of playoffs is going to host them next Thursday night at 7 o'clock instead of Friday because they're going to honor Veterans Day. So cool thing by Kern High School District for honoring veterans.
They're honoring veterans, and they don't have any teachers working. So
okay.
Because they have the day off.
Never mind.
So that I mean, the teachers are not working because they're honoring veterans, but I think logistically it's much easier to play on Thursday night, and so they are. And I think most school districts around the section will follow suit, although the only one we know for sure is the Kern High School District. I talked to Blake Vanderschaft at Bakersfield Christian. He said if they have a first-round game, which we probably think they'll have a bye in Division III, but if they do, they would likely move to Thursday as well. And we don't know about some of the outlying schools, a Wasco or a Taft or a Chavez. Garces will almost definitely have a bye. There's only 10 teams in that bracket, so they're not going to be down at number 7 where they're going to have to mess with a first-round game. Okay. Week 11 predictions. Actually, we're going to start with a playoff game, an 8-man playoff game, Division II first-round playoffs in the southern section. Bloomington Christian at Maricopa. This is going to be a good one. Actually, pretty even matchup. We both take Maricopa in a high-scoring game.
Yep.
So Maricopa could move on to the quarterfinals there. Desert Mountain League now staying in the southern section, but not playoffs. 11-man ball. Boron looking to sew up an outright league title. Desert Christian, frankly, ain't very good.
Do it.
So Boron going to win that one. Burroughs, what a huge win last week against Serrano. Now they get Sultana for a chance to clinch a playoff spot.
Easy money.
And they should. I mean, Burroughs is better at home, but I think they take this game. We both think they take this game. You have it significantly higher scoring than me, but other than that, we're on the same page. Into the central section and into the High Desert League. Kern Valley at Cal City. And the shock of the century for me, Kern Valley winless in the High Desert League. And I thought Cal City would be right there. I really thought this could be a championship game in the High Desert League, and instead it's to get out of the cellar. So
it's not.
Anyway, we both take Kern Valley here. I don't think either one of us is really confident. I don't know. Both of these teams have some stuff going on. We'll see who can get it figured out. Kern Valley, by the way, must win to get into the Division 5 playoffs.
Yeah, and it's been a really tough year, obviously, for the Bronx. 3 players lost their homes because of the Erskine fire. And, you know, that'll take a toll on any team, but it really takes on a team that is such a small school like Kern Valley.
Well, and the crazy thing about that is they started hot. They were 4-1, and then they've just kind of not had the league season they wanted to have. So they're at 4-5, and now fighting to stay out of the cellar and get into the playoffs. On the other end of the High Desert League spectrum, Desert is undefeated. They have clinched a share of the HDL title. They need to win at Rosamond to avoid a 3-way tie. Bishop would also be in that 3-way tie as well as the Roadrunners of Rosamond, who have had one of their better seasons in a long time. And here's a chance, a home game for a league title. Rosamond hasn't won a league title in over 20 years, so this would be a big deal for Rosamond, but we're both taking the Scorps.
Yep. Desert undefeated in league this year.
I'm not sure I've picked the Desert game right all year, but I'm going to try with them here again. Farmersville at McFarland, similar situation. Farmersville looking to sew up an outright league title. McFarland could force what would likely be a 3-way tie with them, Farmersville, and I believe Arosi is the other one that could get to 3-1. McFarland's at home. They got a chance here. Neither one of us went with them, though. In fact, we went the exact same score, 35-28.
Get out of my head.
Picking independently in this one. So McFarland, we'll see. We're rooting for you, but we both picked Farmersville in that one. Okay, first game we are different on comes in the EYL, Delano at Mission Oak. I was really on kind of the Delano turnaround bandwagon until last week. They only scored 7 points at Porterville. I can't figure it out. I don't know what happened to the offense. But if they can rebound from that, they probably beat Mission Oak. I went with Mission Oak.
I'm going to go with the Tigers.
You have 21-14. I have 24-23 Mission Oak. Into the SL, not the South Yosemite League, South Sequoia League. Arvin at Chavez. Arvin 0-9, looking for a win. They've played better. The win just never came, and I just can't see it coming here.
Nope.
Yeah, Chavez is going to probably get to 8-2 there with only a couple of losses to BCHS and Wasco. They will be a threat in Division 4. Speaking of Wasco, the oldest rivalry in Kern County, Shafter and Wasco. What a great game.
Sorry about that. I just forgot to change that.
And they are tied in the SSL standings at 2-3. And Shafter, and you got to kind of hand it to Gerald Perucci here. He's saying, we are going to have a good season or we're not going to the playoffs. They have been much improved, but they are saying we will not go to the playoffs unless we're 5-5, unless we can beat Wasco, on top of already beating Taft and a couple of non-league games. Can Shafter do it? They've lost 9 in a row against Wasco. Can they break the streak a la the Chicago Cubs?
No.
Oh. Wrigley Field, man, would have been hot. Well, it was in Cleveland, but outside Wrigley Field was hopping last night. They broke the drought, and you're not saying the Generals can do it.
The tri-tip will be flowing before the game, just not after the game.
Well, the game's at Wasco, so they'll flow it all night long if they win. If they win 10 in a row and get to double digits. Man, and hey, I pick Wasco too. The Cubs had to get to triple digits before they broke their streak. Maybe the Generals have to get to double digits. So we'll take Wasco. Should be competitive, though, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game. I just think that Wasco at home is going to hold out.
Can Shafter stop Wasco's running game for me is the enormous key to that game.
Prieto's really been just running all
if
over
they
the
can, and by the way, they did stop Taft's running game. But if they can stop that running game, they can get a lead, and then they can get Wasco in a bad situation. Yeah. But speaking of Taft, the third SSL game, Taft at Bakersfield Christian, and again, a story of a team that does it on the ground versus a team that very much does it in the air.
Yeah, I love the kind of the juxtaposition of two offenses where we have the best running game in the central section against the best passing offense in the central section, and how the two defenses have to really kind of combat that. When you got Robert Kozine and Sefo Maui running the ball at will for Taft, Kozine's over 2,000 yards already in 7.5 games, and then you've got Braden Wingle in that passing offense for BCHS with 2,500 passing yards and 24 touchdowns. It'd be really interesting to see what defense can kind of buckle down first.
Yeah.
Because I see it as a high-scoring game, and I think the Eagles just come out on top.
Yeah, I think Taft likes to run to the outside so much. And that works when you're faster than the opponent and when your line is faster than them. But when they're not, and we saw this against Cesar Chavez, all of a sudden you start getting strung out on that outside run. And the big holes aren't there and the big gainers aren't there. And then when you have to chomp off 4 or 5 yards at a time instead of 14 or 15 yards at a time, then mistakes just kill drives, and all of a sudden BCHS is throwing another touchdown pass. That's what I think will happen. It wouldn't shock me to see Taft win this game. I just think it's cool. Like you said, statistically, the best passing offense against the best rushing offense in the entire section, and they're meeting in Week 11.
Yep.
So, Miramonte and Foothill, another rivalry game. Neither one has had the season they wanted. I think a month ago I picked Foothill here, but the Trojans have really tailed off, and I'm going to take Miramonte.
I agree, too. A lot of things have kind of taken their toll on the Trojans this year, and I just think that it's going to end in another one-win season for them, sadly enough. But I have Miramonte winning by a touchdown.
Yeah, that should be a competitive game, and Foothill does have an offense to where if it gets rolling, Miramonte may not be able to keep up. South's already clinched the SEYL title. These two teams will play for second place, North and Highland. And North's beaten Highland 3 years in a row. I think Highland gets them this time, though. At home, North's been playing better. They've got a young team, so they should be playing best right now. But I think Highland's just a little bit better across the board this year.
I agree. I think that there's more senior leadership there for the Scots. I think North is going to be really good next year, really, really good again in 2 years. But this year it's still a learning curve for them, and I think Highland's going to finish out this one and get a 7-win season going into the playoffs.
You remember the movie 300?
No, because I don't watch those kind of movies.
What are you talking about?
I didn't like 300.
I'm not saying it was a good movie, but it was memorable anyway. Tehachapi, speaking of 300, this is where I was getting. Yeah. Steve Denman going for 300.
That was a bad one.
What? Well, you didn't play along. All right. Tehachapi's going to get number 300 for Steve Denman. Really, the test was last week. They beat Ridgeview. West High's not going to beat them to deny Steve Denman 300 on the mountain.
So what's bigger? You talk about on the mound. What's bigger, 300 career wins for a Major League Baseball player, or Steve Denman's getting his 300th win tonight?
Both are pretty impressive. I don't know that we'll ever see 300 wins in a baseball career
and
again.
I don't know if we'll ever see 300
go.
wins for a high school football coach anymore because of the new climate that we're living in.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Denman, you're one of a kind, and congratulations in advance on number 300 and a possible share of a league championship. We'll get to that in a second. First, the next game.
Obviously, we have both Tehachapi winning big over West.
East at Golden Valley. And East they've just been snake bitten the last 3 weeks.
Well, I think it's kind of come down to the schedule. I mean, they've played 3 really good teams at Tehachapi, in Independence, and in Ridgeview. I think it's really tough to be able to go 10-0, 11-0, because they've got 11 regular seasons. Go 11-0 against that schedule when you finish that off. But here we are.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing for East because even when they were beating teams that you think, oh, they're much better than that team, they let those teams kind of hang around. They beat Miramonte 14-0, I think. The game against Foothill was relatively close for a while, and then they pulled away. But then when they played the teams, you think, oh, well, now that they're playing good teams, they're going to get blown out. They didn't get blown out either.
No.
They were close with Tats.
Got a really good defense, man. A really sound defense.
They tend to play close games, so this one may end up being pretty close, but I think it's one East can win, and they get off that schneid, and I have East winning.
So do I.
Yeah, to go to 8-3. Okay. Now we go into the SWIL Frontier.
I don't know why that says at West.
And Centennial. Yeah, that one's at Centennial. Rivalry game here. Again, 2 seasons that have gone awry. I'm going to take Frontier here. I just feel like Frontier ought to win a league game. They're too good not to. That's bad reasoning probably to pick a game, but that's where I'm going.
I think Centennial's playing better football right now. I think Frontier has a lot of great playmakers on that team, but I think as a whole, Centennial is played, even in losses, better. And so I think that we're going to see them in 2 teams that are kind of down as a whole in the league. I think Centennial is still the 5th best team in this league, and we're going to see that tomorrow night.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I just look at
Frontier.
I have
it a close game, but I just think that Centennial, Will Alexander's playing a much better quarterback.
Yeah, Frontier competitive against Liberty, and Centennial wasn't. Anyway, that's my comparison.
Obviously, this game is not at West.
Garces at Stockdale.
Neither is this one.
Also
Sorry,
not at West. It's at Stockdale. Pretty important game here for seeding
paste.
purposes for both teams, I think. We got to rush through this. I think Garces maybe just a little bit better, but it's going to be a battle of big plays, kind of like Stockdale and BHS was.
Yeah, and I think that I got Garces in this one. I think
it's decided on defense, I think.
Yeah.
Both teams have big
Elijah
play
Ortiz
offenses.
is absolutely incredible. Yeah, I think it's decided on defense. I think I have more playmakers on defense.
Okay. SYL title, Ridgeview at Independence. If Independence wins, it's an outright title. If they were to lose, then you'd see a 3-way tie with these 2 teams and Tatchby, assuming Tatchby beats West. I'm taking Ridgeview here. I think the Wolfpack bounces back. They have to win to make the playoffs. It's a close game, but Independence has never beaten Ridgeview, and it's one of those things where you never bet against a streak. I'm taking Ridgeview.
Independence is a very sound team, and I think they don't make mistakes, and they come out on top, 21-20.
Cat got your tongue.
Yep.
Cat got your tongue. Okay, the big one. We talked a lot about it. We don't have a lot of time left for it. Liberty against Bakersfield. This one is at West High. Get there early if you're going because it is going to be so. Oh, and by the way, Ridgeview and Independence, that's live on Bakersfield.com at 7 o'clock pregame show, 7:30. So if you're at the BHS Liberty game, check out what's happening in the SYL on your phone. You can definitely check out our video there. Yep. Or if you're at Ridgeview Indy, you get free replays. Anyway, who are you taking?
Drillers.
I'm taking the Drillers, too. I just think the big play explosiveness will win out because when Liberty needs a big play, can it get it? I don't know. When BHS needs a big play, you know they can get it. And that may be the difference. And also, the guy who sat in that chair, Carson Olivas, pretty good kicker if you need him.
It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Liberty BHS tomorrow night. We will catch you 7 o'clock from Independence, and then 11:20 the scoreboard show where we'll wrap it all up and have BHS Liberty highlights
all
for
through the
you.
night on our Twitter account from the BHS Liberty game.
We will see you next week on BVarsity Preview Show.
Don't forget BVarsity
That's John
Nightly
Farron,
tonight.
Trevor Horn. I'm Zach Ewing. See you later, everybody.